Hello, Bravo bosses. This is the Bravo Investigator Podcast. I am your host, Dana, and today on our Monday Reality Roundup, we are talking about The Real Housewives of New Jersey, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, Summer House, The Bachelor, Love Island, The Real Housewives of Rhode Island, and The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Let's get into it. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope you've had a great weekend and a great start to your Monday, a great start to your new week. I am going to be honest, I am not very excited that it's Monday, and I'm sorry to start off with a tinge of negativity, but I have just ended my 5-day stretch of a vacation from work. I've been off work since Wednesday, July 1st, and it has been lovely. It's been so nice. I've just been relaxing and resetting, and I've just been enjoying my time off so much. And so right now, when I'm recording this, which is actually Sunday afternoon, I have a little bit of the Sunday scaries. I'm going to be honest. It's a lot to know that you have a lot of emails to come back to and a lot of work to do. That being said, it was so worth it to be off. I really, really enjoyed the time, as I said. So no regrets at all. Do just want to mention that today's episode is audio only. I will be uploading an audio version to YouTube, so you can watch the audio version if you so wish. But I'm just having a bad skin day. I don't feel like putting on makeup today on my last day of vacation on my Sunday afternoon when it's like a bajillion degrees here in Toronto that I can barely stay dry, and I'm changing clothes multiple times a day. So this is what we're getting. This is what we're doing. Happy Monday to all. Anyways, happy to be here because we have a lot of fun topics to talk about today. But before we get into that, let's talk about the week. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure what we're going to do. So I know we're definitely going to talk about In the City. I'm either going to do that on Wednesday or Thursday for you guys. But we're done with Rhode Island, so I'm not covering that with Yana Firestone anymore. I haven't decided if I'm going to cover Next Gen NYC. I know there's already been a couple of episodes out, but I could do like a jumbo episode this week on it. I also know that I haven't been covering the Valley, but I thought it would be so much fun to chat with someone about like the changeover that we've seen in the fandom between how people felt about Janet and Danny and Nia last year in comparison to how people feel about all three of those characters this year. So I was going to see if I could find maybe a writer, someone like that, someone who's done some of these articles on these people before for certain publications. I think it would be fun to have someone come on and talk about that. But other than that, Love Island. I could definitely talk about Love Island for the next couple of weeks. And yeah, I'm not quite sure what else, but don't worry, I will find stuff. We're definitely not lacking in TV. We're never lacking in TV. So I'm sure I will find more to do. And also just don't forget that I have another podcast, you guys. It's called All You Need Is You. It is a guide to living your best solo life. I am now doing the episodes every other Saturday. You can find them on this podcast feed, or you can find it on its own podcast feed, meaning just type in All You Need Is You into Spotify or Apple, or even just go to the show notes because I've linked it there. And you can follow the show there and listen to it there as well, which would actually be really helpful as opposed to listening to it on this podcast feed because I'm trying to grow the show on its own feed, if that makes sense. Anyways, let's get into our topics for the day because we have a lot. And okay, some of these are a little old. I do apologize. But like I said, I normally record these episodes on Sundays. Even if I did it on Monday early, like a lot of these news items came out early Monday or Monday afternoon or early Tuesday. And I was like, Jesus, I just put out a news episode. So a lot of it might feel a little dated, but I feel like it's stuff we need to get to. So let's start with The Real Housewives of New Jersey. We haven't heard that term in a while or that name in a while. We do know that filming has been underway and another season will be upon us. And we are also privy to seeing Giudice on Next Gen NYC. lovely to see her. But her sister Milania has gotten into some trouble. I don't know if I told you guys about when she was arrested initially, but she's responded to that arrest online. And basically, it's kind of an odd response. Like, you know, when you get arrested and there's assault involved in all of these things, you would expect there to be remorse, but, you know, no, not from Milania. And do you remember the song that Gia wrote for her? What's it, for her birthday or something? It was just like Milania, Milania. I don't even know how the rest went, but anyway. So we know that she was arrested on May 14th. Some more details have come out about it, something to do with her behaving erratically and throwing food and candles. She pleaded not guilty, and her next court date appearance is scheduled for July 14th. But the response that she ended up doing online was basically like, okay, you guys, the photo of me, the like mugshot photo, it was clearly AI. I looked so good in my mugshot photo. So of course that wasn't it. I can't believe you guys thought that was it. Like that was sort of the theme of what she was trying to say. And it's like, girl, that's like not the most important part here. When it comes to the most important part, she just didn't seem to hold a ton of accountability either. It was just a lot of, yeah, you know, I've got to learn and stuff, but we all make mistakes, things happen. And, you know, we'll see, just like a lot of that. No, I'm sorry, no accountability, nothing like that. Playing with her hair the whole time, looking at the camera, trying to look cute, and definitely not taking it seriously, which, you know, considering her family's history, you would think she would take any run-ins with the law to be quite serious. I don't know if she's just an idiot or she is very sure that nothing is going to come of this because she knows more than we do. And, you know, in all fairness, she knows more than we do. So I don't know if this is all going to go away, but it's not a great path to start on. And it's also not great to sort of come to your audience and be like, well, shit happens, basically, right? I mean, there's more to it than that, right? Like, breaking the law is a bad thing. Assaulting someone, whoever was involved in this, you know, is a bad thing. And you've seen what can happen if you break the law. Your parents were in jail for a long time. Like, your dad has now been deported. I mean, so much has happened. And for you to just take it so haphazardly and lightly is just, it's very Nepo baby. I'll give you that. It's definitely very Nepo baby. Okay, let's move on to the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. Now, this news feels very old, but it was literally last Monday that this came out, so that's why it feels so old, I guess. Literally a whole week ago, Layla from the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives has come out as bisexual. So she was on Jay Shetty's podcast last week, and she opened up about it and everything. Listen, all the power to her. Amazing, happy for her. I just sort of wonder when people are going to no longer feel the need to have to come out, right? Like, I feel like it just sucks that people even feel that they have to share this kind of information with the public anyways. It's really nobody's business. And listen, if she wants to share her truth, if it makes her feel more powerful to talk to people about it, to make people feel like they can relate to her a bit more, then that's absolutely amazing and understandable. I just feel like she shouldn't feel like she has to, is all I'm saying. Okay, let's move on to our Taylor Frankie Paul, because there's always something going on with this girl. So last week we talked about how her season of The Bachelor might still be airing this summer. And it does seem like Dakota pops up every time something good is happening for Taylor Frankie Paul. I'm definitely not going to deny that. So it started last week with Taylor's ex, like her ex-husband, asking for a restraining order in sole custody. And this sort of seemed to have come out of information that looked like it was being passed to him from Dakota. Right after that, we get informed that Taylor Frankie Paul is checking into a rehab facility. And then right after that, the restraining order was denied. And it was my understanding that it was denied because it just came from like hearsay. It just came from like third party information and didn't come from any actual evidence. So what that means to me, most likely, is that I don't know, Dakota went to Taylor's ex and was spewing a bunch of shit about her. He got really worried about the kids and then went and asked for a restraining order. Then Taylor went online and made a series of posts about her history and what's been going on. I'll read some of them. They say, I spent the day crying and fighting for my two older children. They had returned yesterday after being withheld, and they were expressing how excited they were to spend this year with me doing fireworks. Their dad even told me we could extend it to the Monday, so I relayed to them, and they were excited for him just to take it back and rip them away today. It was lies to them and gut-wrenching to witness them cry, confused and asking why. If I understand correctly, because I willingly sought extra support for my mental health. I even was open with those who needed to know. I only refused giving details to my controlling exes. I had my kids taken for doing the right thing. Why would I ever ask for help again? I openly tested at the facility and was clean aside from my prescription meds and openly talked about it. This is abuse by proxy. Then 30 seconds of today, third party was needed for baby switch off, not on my end. Cops called me so they could come be that. I said yes. The officer was very kind. However, my body is traumatized by constant cops calls, CPS calls, visits, and new reports. Baby daddies claim it for safety. Meanwhile, I have the children while they are out having fun, either at vacations or concerts. I'm always recovering from this, trying to survive. I'm dealing with the system while being tag teamed, plus a smear campaign was happening while trying to recover my own nervous system from so much abuse done to me, while also trying to help and console them. And daddy is seen out having fun, smiling while his child is in agony. Daddy has sole custody. She's not well. Facts. I'm not okay because care and anyone with a heart would be dying witnessing this for months now. I was vulnerable and trusted my ex because he begged me not to tell him what I went through. And I cried telling him that all he pretended to do was feel for me. He lied, he twisted it, and then teamed up with the person that did it to me and filed against me as well. Oh, and told me this is a lesson to be nicer to him and tell him information when asked. This isn't about safety, it's about control from them. That's called coercive control for those that don't know, AKA abuse. Oh, remember the chair video that went nationwide twice? These are some of my wounds from that night. And so there's pictures of it with her bruises on like her forearms. And then she says, I don't condone any of it. I had just lost two babies and was being so gaslit and psychologically, emotionally, and physically abused. I peed my pants because I was terrified and I was the one screaming for help. I've had this pic for years and I was later told his phone hit my daughter, not the chair, way after I admitted to it all. I've been so lied to on this. I don't even know anymore. Planned his first birthday by myself with bite marks on my back and smiled through it per usual. And then she has a picture of like the back of her shoulder, or like sort of her back, basically back of her arm. And it says 3 months pregnant here and scared to ask for help because I was always reminded I'd go to jail if I told anyone. I got in trouble for getting ready. People tried to scare me with court watching in this dress. And then she posts like what do you call it? Like a text that says, I desire to be a good man and good husband and father one day, especially even to your kids. And yet you are out posting bullshit posts about the Book of Mormon, mocking the very thing you believe with your tits bulging out like this. Like, do you want to work towards changing your life for the better? Like your court isn't even going over and live in literally the Mormon capital of the world. You don't think they all watch your every video? Then she posts, I just had a baby and was providing and protecting per usual. My smart mouth is what got me in trouble too. Then she posts some more text where it says, when you're done editing your video with your tits out, can you watch him? Can you help watch him? And then she said, I'm editing a work post, asshole. Some of us work. And then he said, okay, when you're done. Then she has another post that says, I'm tired and fed up. My eyes are swollen from crying from my kids all day and night. I don't really care what I shouldn't post. Done protecting them as they are torturing me at my lowest. The mother of their children, weak ass men that lost control of me and didn't like it. One of them even told me he wants to be the mother of all of his kids, even if not together. I'm exhausted all around and hope the courts see who they really are. This was just scratching the surface of what I've been through. All right, that's it. Sorry, that was so long. I mean, listen, I think this girl has definitely been in an abusive relationship, probably many of them. I'm not saying that she hasn't. I just don't even know what to say anymore because it's so public. It's so I had a friend like this for a while. She had a kid with this guy who she didn't know very well. And that just made her feel like she had to try harder with him. It was just that innate sort of thing where you just feel like, okay, well, I want to try to make a family because I have a kid with this person. And he ended up like really trying to do fucked up things to her. Like he once called the cops on her because she threw out his drugs. And like she had her baby, right? And he called the cops on her saying that like she was drugged up with the baby and like it's a really scary thing if the cops come because like they could take your kid away, right? Like he tried to choke her before. I mean, there was all of this insane stuff going on and she was telling me this, right? And it just sounded like teen mom all over again, right? It was just so awful. But then she wouldn't leave him or she would for little bits. And it was hard for me as a friend because I'm hearing you talk about all of this like insanely awful stuff that no one would ever accept, but then you don't end up leaving him. So what do you want me to do, right? I can't just sit here and listen to this because it gets to a point where, listen, I'm not saying like girlfriends can't tell each other their problems with their boyfriends, and I'm not saying I'm annoyed. It wasn't anything like that. It was just it was so abusive. It was so bad that like in the times when she would act like things were fine, like what do you want me to do with that? Just not say anything about it? Like you want me to support the fact that you're still with him? Like it got really hard. And I feel like that's sort of how the public is feeling about this. Like they're feeling almost exhausted with the back and forth. And it doesn't mean that people don't still feel bad for her. I mean, we do, but to what end, I guess? I just don't know what more goes into that, right? Because we can't watch this person spiral over and over and over again on TV. It would feel, what's the word? It would feel gross, right? It would feel bad. Like it wouldn't be like not only not fun to watch, it would almost feel like that season of Teen Mom, if you guys watch Teen Mom or may even remember it, where Ryan and Mackenzie were driving to get married at the very last minute, and he was so drugged up in the car and he was driving on drugs with Mackenzie. And yeah, you feel like you're watching a car crash about to happen, basically, right? And that's what Taylor Frankie Paul and her life basically feels like. That being said, just because if we decide we want to close our eyes to it, meaning we don't follow her anymore, or we don't watch her on TV anymore, or they pull her from TV, it doesn't mean it's not still happening, right? But then does that still become our problem? I don't know. I'm just having some discourse about it with you guys here, okay? I know I'm doing this alone, but as a woman who supports other women, do I feel absolutely awful for Taylor Frankie Paul? Yes. But I'm also becoming exhausted with her being part of this news cycle, with anyone involved in this sharing information, because it's really just feeling gross because it involves kids and abuse and all of these things. And I just don't know how much more I can talk about it, let alone let it be part of my orbit. I don't know. Does that mean it? But like I said, that doesn't mean it'll end. And I don't know what will ever make this end for her. I really don't, right? Like she's not even in a relationship with either of these guys. So it feels like this never ending cycle. And I feel like that's just becoming exhausting for audiences. That's, I guess, the end of my thesis on that. All right, let's move on to Summer House. And I'm so glad that filming is up and underway, which feels crazy because we have been talking about Summer House several times a week for several months now. And now we are actually talking about filming of season 11. So news came out early last week of who the early cast was. So we had Kyle Cook, Carl Radke, Lindsay Hubbard popping in and out, Sierra popping in and out, which I find odd and I hope isn't true. I hope she is actually going to be full-time because Noah Sampton, who's the VP of something related to Summer House, maybe like executive producer, something like that. He said that Sierra is the future of Summer House. So if Sierra is the future of Summer House, then she needs to be there full time. And what do you call it? Love Island is ending soon. So there's no reason why she can't be full time shortly, right? So I really hope that she is. Mia, they said that KJ had decided not to come back. They said that Jesse is coming back full time. Amanda Petula is out, fired, not coming back. Not really fired, right? I mean, we don't really know what's happening within the city, but Amanda Petula not coming back to Summer House. And it was the last of them. We had Bailey. I'm trying to remember in my mind all of the cast members. Hold on. Bailey, Carl, Kyle, Lindsay. Who am I missing? Mia. Oh, Ben. Ben was not asked back, and it was reported that he didn't really gel that well with the cast. I don't know if that's really the real reason because he does seem to have a lot of friendships with, especially many of the guys on the cast to date, right? Like he's still doing a lot of stuff with the guys, the boys. But I don't know that that's the reason. I wonder if it's truly because he was dating Sabrina Bell the entire time and production maybe is a little mad at him for that. Who really knows? But yeah, out on the Ben of it all. But then filming apparently started this past weekend, and KJ posted with the tag Southampton. So then we're all like, oh, okay, is he filming? So maybe things have changed. It also looks like everybody was like at this nylon party over the weekend. A lot of the cast was there. Ava Dash was there from Next Gen NYC. Joe Bradley, Maddie Reese from Southern Hospitality, Michaels from Southern Hospitality, Whitney and Kenny from In the City. So I don't know if there's going to be any crossover in that regard. But we also got word that Kyle Cook and Ava Dash were seen making out. Now, Ava Dash was asked by Virtual Reality, which is the Page Six podcast about it, and she didn't deny it. She was just basically like, yeah, we have a lot of friends in common. We spend a lot of time together with our common friends. And, the summer is fun and just random things like that. Definitely didn't deny it. And they were together this past weekend in the Hamptons. So who even knows? But you know who else was in the Hamptons this past weekend? Sally Carson. And she was seen with Kyle Cook this past weekend, allegedly making out. Actually, I don't even have to say allegedly because Sally ended up responding to Dumois' post that said, Sally Carson and Kyle Cook seen making out all over each other at Montauk Project last night. And Sally responded saying that was actually 2 nights ago. So confirmed. Listen, Kyle Cook is the kissing bandit of the summer. It is what it is. I really don't know. It's so crazy, but like, get it, boy, right? Like, if you're getting consent from everybody and everybody is happy to do it, then let him cook. Let him cook. Now, all of that being said, West may have already cheated on Amanda. There is this Bravo and Cocktails item that came out last week that said, spill it to bravoandcocktails.com. I am hearing that he has cheated on her recently. Apparently, it was someone in his circle, and she told him he can never speak to that person again. I don't know. Like, everyone believes it because they're like, obviously, but do you guys really? I mean, okay. Don't call me an idiot. Do you guys really think she would let someone else cheat on her again so quickly? Am I an idiot? I don't know. Like, I know she also sort of has to put on faces of like, she can't end this relationship so soon. That would be so embarrassing to blow up your whole life over that. But like, I don't know, man. Like, if this isn't true, he'll cheat on her in 2 weeks from now. Like, I'm very sure it's going to happen shortly. Like, I feel like everyone who's thought about this relationship has a timeline in their mind of when they expect it'll end. I gave it like a 3-month run. I don't know exactly of when I'm starting that 3 months from because who knows with these people and the constant changing of dates. But like this feels like it's going to have a 3-month run and it'll end over cheating. Like it just will. Then there was this Dumois item that came out a few days ago about this PR party that Lindsay Hubbard was at. The blind item said, I was the +1 for a party at Budokan in NYC last night. It was the NYC launch event for DC-based PR firm called Moki Media. Lindsay Hubbard walked into the event with Matt James, who it seemed like was her +1. Carl ended up showing up later too. Then when I was leaving, I spotted Lindsay, Matt, Carl, Yvonne, Nick, and a few other people all having dinner in the main dining room together. Matt had his arm around Lindsay and he was caressing her shoulder in a flirty, cute way. It definitely looked like they were flirting, though it was cute that they were flirting. They were all at the same table hanging out and having fun together, including Carl. Now, there were so many people at this event. There was even pictures that came out of Lindsay, like, what do you call it, piggybacking Carl. Um, and Lindsay even ended up responding to this, being like, "Oh, flirty and fun, news to me," or whatever, right? Like, I don't think it was anything, probably. And I think it's so funny when these items come out and people are like, "Is Lindsay dating Matt?" And it's like, whoa, like imagine that this was the first night you start flirting with someone, and it's all of a sudden like in the news that you guys are dating, and it was just like the first flirtatious interaction, and it must put the kibosh on so many potential relationships, because it's just like so scary to have that out there about you so early on in your like non relationship. So filming looks like it's underway, exciting stuff. Maybe we will have some crossover with Next Gen NYC, Southern Hospitality, and the like. I hope that they name one of the episodes next season Kyle the Kissing Bandit, right? It would just be so funny, because listen, he's having a great time. I'm happy for him, and no judgment here. Okay, let's move on to our next topic, which is The Bachelor. So there is this topic that caught my eye about this book that is being written by an ex-Bachelor producer named Julie LaPlaca. And this caught my eye, unfortunately, because Nick Viall was talking about it. So basically, what he was saying was that this ex-producer is writing this book about her experience as a producer on The Bachelor, where she ended up having feelings for the Bachelor in question. The Bachelor in question was Peter Weber. Pilot Pete was the Bachelor many, many moons ago. His season was kind of a weird disaster. His mom was very, very involved. He ended up picking, if I'm not mistaken, Hannah Ann, but then they broke up shortly there. No. Did he pick Hannah Ann, but then broke up with her, but then went for Maddie Pruitt, but then that didn't last? And then he dated Kelly Flanagan twice, all from his season. Now, Maddie Pruitt ended up becoming like one of the most dangerous people out there. Hannah Ann went on and married a football player. Kelly Flanagan, I think, is single right now. But anyways, the way that Nick Viall was explaining this situation was that Peter Weber was the perfect bachelor because he was a lover boy. He ends up being with all of these women. He can't decide. Now, I do have to disagree with him on that regard. I mean, I'm going to disagree with him on a lot of regards here, but I just want to explain all of the things that I was listening to. I don't think that that makes someone the perfect bachelor. This man could like not decide. The fact that he ended up having relationships with so many different women from his season, I mean, a man who cannot decide is not the perfect bachelor. But basically, Nick is trying to like infantilize him a lot and be like, poor Peter Weber was manipulated in this situation, because he basically, when you have this producer like this, when you're the bachelor, you spend a ton of time with them one-on-one. They are your lifeline. They're your everything. They have your passport. They have your phone. And because you are so secluded from the outside world when you're the bachelor, you really do rely on that person for everything. And so Nick is saying that basically this book is exploiting Peter's experience, but it's also kind of illegal-ish, because this woman is basically talking about this relationship that she had with Peter. Now, I'm not sure if it's while they were both on The Bachelor, while they were working on The Bachelor, or after. Because when I watched her on the Off the Vine podcast with Caitlin Bristow, it was also kind of murky. So I got all of the information that I was able to get about this from very few sources, basically watching her interview on Off the Vine, and then watching what Nick Viall said. And I may or may not read this book when it comes out on July 7th. I haven't decided. I'm just a little bit curious, but based on what Nick is implying, he's implying that something happened while the show was happening. Now, if that's true, then yeah, that is fucked up. That's like a huge HR violation, because like he said, there's like a power dynamic there, right? Like a power imbalance where this person sort of becomes your therapist, your everything, your lifeline. And now they're somewhat like seducing you, right? The way that Julie explained it on Off the Vine was, it wasn't clear if it happened before or after. She really made it sound like something happened after, but then she also made it sound like nothing really happened. Like, I'm not clear about that, but from what Nick Viall is saying, it sounds like something did actually happen between them, like something like real enough. Now, I remember at the time that filming was happening for this, there was a rumor about this, right? That's sort of when it picked up legs, which is probably why this Julie person was able to get a book deal. There was also a period of time where she was apparently being considered for The Bachelorette because of this rumor, because it was like so juicy or whatever, but she didn't end up getting picked. This was then when Claire Crawley was getting picked. But according to Julie, Peter is not happy about her writing the book. And Nick Viall even spoke to him about it too. And he kind of feels exploited about it, and he didn't want her to write it either, and he didn't want this to be brought back up. Pete did end up speaking about this on Instagram, like on an Instagram post, of a clip of Nick Viall talking about this. And he wrote, "I've moved on from this period of my life and I'm ultimately responsible for my choices. What I'll say is this. I asked Julie on multiple occasions to please keep intimate details private. This wasn't about a TV show anymore. Curious though if she mentions in the book about my last one-on-one with Hannah Ann and how in the middle of our dinner conversation during one of our one-on-one producer interviews, Julie tells me, you will look like the biggest idiot in the world to America if you give her your rose. I find it wrong to mess with a person's headspace like that and then go write a book about them. The fact that Chris endorsed this makes me sick." Now he's talking about Chris Harrison because Chris Harrison wrote like a foreword for the book and kind of calls it like juicy and salacious and all these things. But Nick's point is, why is no one having an issue with the fact that this is a clear HR violation? Why is everyone acting like this is like this juicy, salacious thing? So I totally agree with that if that was the case, right? Like this was going on during the time that he was on The Bachelor. But I also kind of want to, like I want to give him some accountability here too, because it's like, dude, if this was happening while you were on The Bachelor, you already have like 30 women at your beck and call here, and you're also going for the producer, you shouldn't be here. This was clearly a guy who could not make a decision. And so I feel like that kind of says a lot too. But, I completely agree that she carries a lot of the burden here. And honestly, when I was watching her on the Off the Vine podcast, it was giving Fatal Attraction. Like the way she talked about him was super weird. Like she was super like excited to be talking about like the salacious nature of this. And she was just like, her mannerisms during the entire interview were like, yeah, I know. And when she was talking about how she was being considered for The Bachelorette, Caitlin was like, oh, you would really do it? Like after all, after like, because I mean, Caitlin talks a lot about not having a good Bachelor experience. And Julie's like, no, I mean, of course, I wanted my man. And then I thought possibly like, someone from the past would like come there for me. And Caitlin's like, who? And she's like, Peter. And right. So it just gave like this woman is living in an alternate reality. That being said, I don't really know what happened here. I don't know what sort of validation he gave her. I don't know what actually happened between them, but it was giving someone who was having a fake relationship in her mind. That's just sort of what it felt like. Her going off and doing media for this book, while very normal to go do, is just not making her look good. Also, she has since gone to hypnotherapy school. What does that say? I mean, I don't know. She also says Peter has blocked her on social media, which makes sense. She did the reason why I wasn't sure if something actually happened between them is because she says, like, upon reflection of the experience, she realized that she had feelings for him and believes he felt the same. So to me, that was just like, oh, was it just sort of like after the fact she realized this and then had a conversation with him about it or something? But from the vibe I get from Nick, I think it was a lot more. Regardless, it is very weird. I wonder what more might come of it now that Nick has sort of exposed it a bit more. But the book comes out, in a couple of days. I guess we'll see. I just think the story is super interesting because you guys know I'm usually the person who sides with the woman, but the woman seems like a stalker in this situation. She also seems like someone who broke her, moral obligations in terms of her role. That being said, like, it's hard not to fall in love with someone, right? If you're spending a ton of time with them, it's possible it happens. But at the same time, it sounds like she manipulated her role in that situation to get him to do certain things, like with the Hannah Ann situation, like Peter mentions, right? So I don't know, man. Curious to see what'll happen next on this one. Okay, let's talk some Love Island. So, some news has come out about TT's past. You may remember that TT is currently the one with KC. KC was with Anaya, and then he said those really horrific things about her, that they had nothing in common, that she's a grandma, all this horrible stuff in his stupid movie night. Stupid KC. And TT sort of came in really hot with her tagline of being like, I'm TT. Well, this article came out with E! News that says Love Island USA's Tiara TT Davis allegedly assaulted and threatened to shoot a woman in 2018. So I'm going to read this article. It says, as the 25-year-old continued to explore her connection with Casey Chandler on Love Island USA Season 8, after making her debut during Casa Amor, a prior legal conflict has resurfaced. Nearly a decade before stepping into the Fiji villa, Davis, then 17, was accused of assaulting then 16-year-old Shayla Woodard before allegedly threatening to shoot her, according to court documents obtained by E! News. In the October 2018 request for a civil harassment restraining order, Woodard alleged that although they didn't know each other, Davis had verbally assaulted her the month before while in the proximity of a mutual peer. She said that Davis came looking for her days later with Woodard, now 24, alleging that she was physically assaulted at the Culver City Metro Station. She reported that Davis had pepper sprayed her multiple times in the face, arms, and upper body. Woodard wrote that she believed the animosity from the reality star stemmed from her friendship with Davis's ex-boyfriend. Tiara Davis has been harassing me by phone beginning on October 2nd, 2018 at 1:04 p.m., where she kept telling me she would find me, she wrote in the request. I guess she was right because when she did, and after the assault on me, she threatened to shoot me the next time. Although a temporary restraining order was granted, Woodard's case was dismissed in November 2018 because she did not appear for the hearing, according to the minute order obtained by E! The same day, the then teen filed another request for a civil harassment restraining order in which she added that she was worried for the safety of her mom and little brother. She threatened to shoot me with a gun the next time she saw me, she wrote in the second request filed on November 15th, obtained by E! I live with my mom and my baby brother, and that is who I am most often with. They could be struck with a stray bullet in the line of fire. Woodard further detailed the alleged incident, claiming that Davis had brass knuckles during the assault. She said that their interaction did not end after the alleged fight. Even though the police were called, I filled out a report. She kept calling, texting, sending Instagram and Snapchat messages, she wrote. Some during school hours, I could not concentrate. Her second filing was dismissed that December, with the judge writing in the minute order obtained by E! That the decision was made after having found no basis for the issuance of a permanent restraining order. Ooh. Initially, I was going to say, anything that happened under 18, like, it's not fair. Our frontal lobes haven't developed. Give us a chance. You know what I mean? But after reading that, ooh, it's not great. I mean, things were dismissed, and I guess that's why Love Island wasn't able to find it. Because, listen, I'm not going to do my investigative thing here, but I assume Love Island does some sort of preliminary types of searches for, past conduct of their contestants or whatever you want to call them. But I don't know how far back they dig. And if it was while you were under 18, maybe those were sealed records. So actually, I don't even know how this was even able to have been found. Yeah, this is really interesting. Anyways, people don't really seem to care that much. This sort of came and went in the news cycle, but given that she's still on the show, I am sharing it with you. It ain't good. I'll just say that. It ain't good. Okay. Let's move on to the Real Housewives of Rhode Island. This also kind of feels like old news because this came out like last Monday. As you guys know, last Sunday we had the final reunion, the second part of the Real Housewives of Rhode Island. And basically, the Monday morning right after that, Liz came out with an Instagram story that said, I'm full of gratitude for making, I can't even see what, for the, because she has words over it. She didn't properly place it, so you can't even really see. But basically she writes, as filming for season 2 begins, I've made the decision to take a step back and focus on my family, my work, and my passions. The RHORI cast is an amazing group of women who have created something special. I'll be watching next season, rooting for the continued success of the franchise. For now, I look forward to enjoying this little corner of the world from the other side of the camera. Then not long after that, and then I ended up posting that pretty much right away when I saw it. And then she commented on my post, and then she commented on a bunch of other creators' posts, and then took that same comment and basically made it a story a few minutes later that says, "It's fascinating to me how everyone assumes my reason for leaving involves being afraid of skeletons, jail, etc. This is not new gossip. It has been local slander for years. If there were even an ounce of validity to it, I'd not have even gone on a show. I realize that for some, it feels good to speculate, hate, and defame my character, but I have never been investigated nor involved in any criminal case. It's preposterous, and people should know how utterly ridiculous it sounds. Sorry to disappoint. It's wild to me how people feel at liberty to openly state such absurd claims as facts. Now that I have time on my hands, I will start the process of holding those originating and spreading such fiction accountable." So, I was surprised to hear that she wasn't coming back. For the most part, people come back because they consider there to be more pros than cons. And usually when you don't come back, it is because Bravo has not asked you back. In this case, even Andy has commented on this saying, the doors never close, you're always welcome back, which just shows she's in good standing with the network. So it's nothing like that. She's saying it has nothing to do with like the Dino of it all or what Jerry may be involved in. Who really knows? A lot of people are saying it's probably because of the reception that she got. It's interesting because she started off with such great reception, and I sort of felt like she was so core to the group. Like, even though all of these people were new to us, she was definitely giving mother figure and central core, center diamond. What do they have? Center clam, whatever they have in Rhode Island. But as the episodes went on, people started to fear her and question her. That being said, I mean, I could be wrong, right? I'm not in her house. I'm not in her mind. I'm not in her DMs, but it didn't feel that bad. It just sort of felt like closer to the end, people were like, oh, I don't know about her, but it didn't feel that bad. That being said, to go from nothing to something is a lot, right? I mean, if you've never been in the public eye, even to get some backlash can be very difficult, and it's not for everybody, right? Not everybody can handle that. So maybe that's what it is. But there was a lot that just got very, very weird. And so a lot of people think that this is probably for the best. But she is the person that sort of connected the group. I still feel like we have a great cast and there's lots of great people going forward. And like Andy said, there's always room for her to come back. But it's just interesting how, what's the word I want to give it? Like, she comes off as extremely tough, but I think she's a lot more sensitive than she acts like she is. Sort of like Lala, right? Always comes off like super gruff and tough, but on the inside, they're just like a little baby cat and they can't handle like even a little bit of backlash. So goodbye, Liz. We will miss you. Okay, let's move on to our last topic of the day, which is the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So let's start with Farrah. Farrah, being Kyle Richards' daughter, is having a baby. She released all of these photos a couple of days ago of her pregnant belly. She looks absolutely beautiful. Now, a lot of people were questioning who the father is. I haven't heard or really followed what Farrah is had going on in quite some time. She was on that Netflix show with Mauricio and her sisters and stuff, that real estate show. I forget what it was called. And she had a boyfriend on that show who ended up proposing to her on that show. And they ended up breaking up. We never really got any information as to why or what happened there. But here she pops up a little while later pregnant. So, maybe she made the decision to have a kid on her own. If so, amazing, and all the power to her. And we support you, Farrah. So really exciting news coming out of the Richards family because, every baby is a blessing. In some not so happy Real Housewives of Beverly Hills news, Marcellus Wiley, the former NFL star and husband of one season wonder Real Housewives of Beverly Hills castmate Anne Marie Wiley, has been arrested for domestic battery in Florida on July the 4th. So he apparently remains in jail without bond at the time of this reporting, which was July the 5th, Sunday. This is another legal issue for Wiley, who also faces accusations by 7 women who accuse him of sexual assault. This is by a former ESPN employee accuses him of assault in 2009. 3 others recently came forward accusing him of assault between 1995 and 1999. And this was after he was accused of assault by 3 others back in 2023. And this is all according to reports by Rolling Stone and People. So you guys might remember Anne-Marie from her one-season wonderness on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She was the esophagus lady. I don't even want to get into it in terms of like rehashing it because it was so stupid. But yeah, she kept getting in a fight with Sutton about whether she had an esophagus problem or not. Anyway, this is really devastating and sad. I mean, this report doesn't talk about, because this is so new when this came out in terms of when I am recording on this, that it hasn't been released yet who the domestic battery was against, but I think we can all assume when the word domestic is involved. So I just really feel for Anne-Marie and her family and her kids. And I remember when she came on the scene that this information came out about him sexually assaulting people. And I guess because she sort of fell away from, the spotlight after Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we didn't really hear what happened after that, but I did remember other people coming forward and like, this guy sounds like a fucking menace, right? Like I just really hope that Anne-Marie and her family are okay and maybe she can see the light and get away from this guy, because this is not a good person. All right, well, that's all I have to say for today. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. I will see you back in a couple of days for In the City and probably another episode this week. Just haven't decided what yet. Until then, you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also join the Facebook page. And I love you, BBs. I will see you next time. Thank you for listening to the Bravo Investigator podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at The Bravo Investigator. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and join the Facebook page. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a 5-star review.